FPL Game Week 22, my team selection. In today's video, we're going to have a look at how my team is lining up in Game Week 22. We'll talk about any potential transfers for this week. We'll also have a look ahead for some future planning going up to the double in Game Week 24 and what chip I might play when that double does roll around. We have a little bit of a benching decision this week because currently Hatrick hero Amad Diallo is on my bench and captaincy is a big debate once again. What is up, everyone? FPL Harry here. Before we dive in, 2,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you're new around here. And now, by the time you're seeing this, it's probably slightly later than the usual upload time. That's because I recorded the whole video and then it didn't record. So I'm having to do it all over again. But I don't mind recording this bit all over again because I get to talk about Amad Diallo's hat-trick for a second time. What a game week. I needed a green arrow. I was hoping for a green arrow because my team on paper did look really, really strong. João Pedro dropping out at the last minute meant I started Chris Wood. My two transfers in this week were Chris Wood and Anthony Gordon. Happy with those. Benched João Pedro because of minutes out. He did start, but that did pay off. 91 points because of Amad Diallo. Hat-trick at home to Southampton. It was pretty nervy until 80 minutes when it was 1-0 to Southampton. I had blanks for Amad. I had a blank for Fernandes. And suddenly the goals started to roll in. I saw 1-0. Amad. I saw 2-0 Amad, and then I saw it go, 2-1, and I saw it go 3-1, and I was like, surely not. I wasn't watching it. I was watching the traitors. I was getting the goal notifications, and I saw it, and it said Amad again. Fernandes did manage to pick up a couple of bonus points, so crazy good game week. Almost 20 above my safety score, so a massive green arrow from 108k up to 50k. 1,400 points is my total. Let me know how you got on in Game Week 21. There were some roller coasters. Palmer captain over Isaac is not great, but Palmer captain over Salah was a good decision. So again, let me know how you got on. Let's look at Game Week 22. So I'm actually not going to talk to you about loads of transfers. Oh, I might sell this player. I might sell that player to this or that. And build flow diagrams, which I agree was quite confusing the other day. Is because I don't think I'm going to make a transfer. I've got 2 free transfers. 0.5 million in the bank, and I'm almost certain that I'm going to roll my transfer going into Game Week 22. We'll talk about exactly why when we see my starting 11, but I am starting to focus once again on looking at the double in Game Week 24. In goal, I have a little bit of a benching decision. I've got David Raya, who hasn't been great recently, at home to Aston Villa, and I've got Fabianski on the bench at home to Crystal Palace. I generally think I will still start David Raya in goal at home to Villa. Even when Fabianski has a decent fixture, I still trust Arsenal defensively much more. That being said, I do have a double up with Gabriel in my defence at home to Villa. How he didn't get the assist for the goal against Spurs, to be clear, basically they use Opta, and Opta said that it went from Gabriel onto Dragishin, onto Solanke and in, and Gabriel's wasn't registered as a shot, so that's why it wasn't given to him. We've got Munoz, who's, of course, in. Fixtures coming up are great. Attacking threat is great. Got a clean sheet this week. Absolutely fine. And then we've got Trent away at Brentford. I'm still a little bit concerned that he plays every single game. They, 1-1 draw with Nottingham Forest. Not the end of the world. He did play the whole game. They did need him for his creative ability. He could have had some attacking returns late on in that game as well. So not too bothered about him. Of course, there's always a concern each fixture if he's going to start it or not, but he is in. Then into my midfield. Palmer, Salah, of course, are in. They're in everyone's teams. They're going to start for me every week. Then we've got Fernandes at home to Brighton. And then we've got Anthony Gordon as well. Gordon and Newcastle are the early kickoff, but they are in unstoppable form. Having a player like Isaac on your team is just going to make someone like Gordon better for Newcastle. So very happy with him. And then, of course, Fernandes. A blank against Southampton, but he did have to play quite deep at times in that game because they were chasing the game. So they brought a lot of attackers on. Xerxes came on, Anthony came on, they had Garnacho starting, which he doesn't normally as well, with Amad at wing-back. Just meant there were so many attacking players, which meant Fernandes had to drop quite deep to try and play passes. Now, that is something that could happen again, but generally it's not something we expect every single week. Now, this does mean when I add my forwards in, I've got Amad on the bench, and he has just scored a hat-trick, so that feels incredibly weird. Before we talk about that, Isaac, of course, is in, and Chris Wood at home Southampton is in as well. Not much really to say about them. Very happy I own both of them. Good fixtures at home this week, so they are both in. So then it leaves João Pedro away at Man United, who was available, did play a lot of minutes, is on penalties, and for 75 minutes of that game, you would want an attacker against that Manchester United team. So João Pedro is there at the moment. Fernandes is currently on penalties, on set pieces, whereas Ahmad has just scored a hat-trick. So I've got to decide which of those three do I bench. At the moment, Ahmad is the one that's on the bench, just because he's not on penalties, just because he has slightly less, I suppose slightly less essential threat from penalties, set pieces like Fernandes has, and not having to double up on Manchester United again. Should Ahmad be in my starting 11, let me know. At the moment, he's going to be on my bench, but it doesn't feel great after he's just scored a hat-trick. The other big debate this week, of course, is captaincy. Isak and Chris Wood are great options, but neither of them are going to get it. Isak is the early kickoff. He's playing a Bournemouth side who are very good, and I also have double Newcastle, so I've got cover of that. Chris Wood is next. I rarely see Chris Wood getting more than 8-9 points. I think only twice this season, or maybe 3 times now with the Everton game, has he got over 10 points. So I'm not going to captain Chris Wood. I'm just happy that I've got him, but he's not the captaincy contender for me, which leaves Cole Palmer and it leaves Mo Salah, who are for me the two players most likely to get 10 plus points in my starting lineup this week. Salah blanked. He's only blanked 3 times this season, twice against Nottingham Forest. Could he do it again? It feels very unlikely away at Brentford, but Brentford did just draw with Manchester City. But then Manchester City did just score twice. So you can write that how you want. Cole Palmer is up against a Wolves team who did just absolutely fall apart against Newcastle. They're also the Monday night game. And you know how much we all love a Monday night captain in FPL. And I will be at that game as well. I don't really take that into consideration. But that Wolves defense against Newcastle looked absolutely horrible. The only slight downfall of Palmer is some of the assists that he's creating may well fall to Jackson, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence if he's going to be missing chances like he did on Tuesday evening. But at the moment, my plan is to roll the transfer. I've got 3 decisions to make. Do I play David Raya or Fabianski? At the moment, it's Raya. Do I play Ahmad, João Pedro or Fernandes? And at the moment, Ahmad is benched. And then it's the captaincy. At the moment, Cole Palmer is captain with Mo Salah vice captain. So now let's do a little bit more future planning and talking about the doubling game week 24 and some potential transfers I might make over the next couple of weeks. At the moment, I've got 2 free transfers, but going into game week 24, I will of course have 2 more. So 4 free transfers in total. Let's start off at Liverpool and looking at a few players that I like. First one is obvious. The easiest way to get to triple Liverpool would be to buy Alisson. I think generally Liverpool fans are not that impressed by them defensively and Alisson's performances at the moment, but if you look at their fixtures, they do have, after Brentford, Ipswich at home, Bournemouth away, Everton away in the double, Wolves at home. Then it is City, but then it's Newcastle, Southampton at home, Villa, Everton, and then we might be getting into wildcard territory. So the long-term fixtures for them are not bad. So a double up wouldn't be the end of the world. I could look in the actual defense. If I was going to buy one of them, it would probably be Konate. I don't think I'd spend the money on Van Dijk. If Robertson got injured or something, I would look at Tsimikas, but they're rotating as well. Konate feels more nailed at the moment. He's just 5.1. Now, exactly where I'd bring him into my team, I don't know. I'd actually probably look at upgrading Greaves or something like that because I don't really want to sell Mikalenko because he has the double. Don't really want to sell Munoz. I could sell Gabriel, but again, their fixtures are starting to get a little bit better. So I'd be selling him before Leicester, West Ham, Forest. So I don't particularly want to sell Gabriel from my team. Into midfield, I could go for someone like a Luis Diaz or a Szoboszlai, but their minutes feel pretty uncertain and his returns just have not been that great. The real one, if I decide not to go for double defense, would be Cody Gakpo. The returns have been pretty good. His minutes are also more reliable than anyone else. His starts are also more reliable. I could bring him in either in 23 for Ipswich at home or 24 as well. One key thing to note about this fixture in game week 23 for them is Ipswich at home. There's no early kickoff. So they are the joint earliest game of the deadline, an hour and a half after the deadline. So we might know Liverpool team news on does Cody Gakpo start. If you're looking to buy Luis Diaz, does he start and things like that. So that's something to bear in mind. So at the moment, he's my favourite. And at Everton, if I add anyone, it's probably going to be Pickford in goal. I'm pretty sure I'll have a double game week goalkeeper for the double in 24. I would have a look at an attacker if McNeil is back fit. He's been flagged for ages and hasn't actually played since game week 14. So are we really expecting him back? Probably not. And if he's not back, I feel like the whole defense is just, the whole attack, is just not good enough. The thing is, João Pedro out. to Gakpo would be the easiest transfer for me this week, or going into the double, sorry. But I'm really short of that money. 1.2 million short. Now, I could do David Raya to Jordan Pickford. That would help free up some of the money, but I would still need more of it. So the current plan is, if McNeil was available, I would do Gordon to McNeil in game week 24 to free up the money for those moves, because it would give me McNeil for the double. Gordon is going to go around then anyway from Burmo. So basically what it would be is go to McNeil for 1 week before going to Brian and Burmo when I have a little bit of money the week after. I could try and find 0.6 somewhere else. Like, I could just downgrade Gabriel if I'm not happy with him. I could do Trent to Virgil van Dijk as well. I could not sell João Pedro, and I could sell Chris Wood instead. And I would have enough money for that, no pun intended. Now, that seems really strange to sell Chris Wood for Gakpo and then to have a look to sell him again in a few weeks. But I do have the idea further down the line of going to Johan Vista. I've always spoken about it for the past few weeks, and I do think from game week 25 onwards, he is the best forward that I'd want. He scored again against Manchester City, 11-pointer against Southampton. I do really want that. So I basically have two decisions. I think Pickford will be the goalkeeper that I go with. I think I will go with Cody Gakpo as my third Liverpool. If I sell Chris Wood, I can do just those two moves. If I decide to sell João Pedro, which is my preferred route, I then have to find another transfer somewhere to free up a little bit of money. So that is where we're at the moment. But looking back at game week 22, it is going to be a roll transfer this week. Just a few benching decisions. Let me know in the comments, would you start Ahmad or not? And who is your captain going to be as well? Leave any questions you have about your team in the comment section down below. I will take some of them and add them to the final decisions video going into this evening. So if you have any benching decisions, any captaincy dilemmas, transfer dilemmas, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll answer some of them, and of course in the final decisions after the press conferences today. Thank you all so much for watching. 2,000 likes is the aim. Subscribe if you are new around here, and I'll be back again very soon.